There's an English language rule that every native English speaker knows that you need, but hardly anyone ever teaches. And that rule is all about...
Steve, I'm going to the shops. Do you want anything?
Excuse me. Yes, can you go to that little lovely bakery and get me a meat delicious pie, please?
What?
Sorry. Can you go to that lovely little bakery and get me a delicious meat pie, please?
Sure. See you later.
Today's lesson is all about why what I said first sounded so wrong, but what I said second sounded right. Hi, I'm Steve. Let's do this. In nearly every conversation, we describe things. This is a happy little boy. It's a cold and rainy day. You're an amazing, intelligent English language learner. But the order in which we use these describing words, which are called adjectives, has to be correct. Otherwise, it just sounds wrong, especially to native English speakers. For example, this is my warm blue jacket. It's not my blue warm jacket. That just doesn't sound correct. And the reason that sounds wrong is because there's a rule in the English language that gives the correct order that you're supposed to use these descriptive words in. And this is it. Now let me be honest with you. Just like every other English speaker on the planet, I don't know these. And the reason I don't know them is because they're too difficult to remember and use when you're speaking normally. Let's visit a car showrooms and I'll show you what I mean. Hi, I'd like to buy a car, please. What type of car would you like? I'd like a... Now what was on that list? First came opinion, I think. So, I'd like a reliable... Now what was next? I think it was size. So, I'd like a reliable small... Now what? I can't really remember. Maybe it was age or colour. I'd like a reliable small green... Excuse me, have you fallen asleep? You've just seen that trying to use this order list in everyday conversation is almost impossible. Which is why so few English teachers even try to teach it. It's just a waste of your time. But because you do need to know the correct order of these descriptive words, I've put together 3 easy to remember tips that, although there are a few exceptions, they're probably all that you need. And tip number 1 is make it easy on yourself by only ever using at most 2 or 3 of these adjectives. If you need to describe something in more detail, then use any additional descriptive words or adjectives after the thing that you're describing, like this.
Can you describe the person who stole your bag, madam?
He was a crazy old grey-haired man who wore glasses.
Here, the lady used 4 adjectives to describe the man who'd stolen her bag. But following our first tip, she put one of them after the thing she was describing, the man. You can add as many of these descriptive words as you like afterwards, but before, make it easy on yourself and keep to a maximum of 2 or 3. Tip number 2, when you're describing something, put your opinions and feelings about this thing first. What emotions does this bring out in you? Is it easy? Is it difficult? Is it amazing? Is it awful? And these words come first. Next, put details of the thing itself. And we need to split this into 2 types. The first type is general details, like the word short. That can mean different things to different people. It's a general detail. Or the word old. To a child, old is someone who's perhaps 25. But to me, old is someone who's 90. So these are general details that mean different things to different people. Colours go in here as well. And the reason is, if I said it's green, am I talking about the colour of grass? Or am I talking about the green that's the colour of the sea? It's a detail, but it means different things to different people. So it's a general detail. And they go after the opinions and the feelings. After the general details, we can put specific details. And these are really accurate descriptions of the thing. Words like free, wooden, or Japanese. You can say these to anyone and they will know exactly what you mean. And these specific details go last in our order before we get to the actual thing we're describing. Let's see this in action using my dogs. The words I'm going to use to describe them, and I'm only going to use 3, because remember tip 1, are female, playful, and big. But if I said to someone, I have 2 female, playful, big dogs, well, that just sounds wrong because I'm not following tip 2. So let's use that tip and put these adjectives in the right order. Tip number 2 said start with opinions or your feelings about this object. And my opinion about my dogs is they're playful. But of course, other people's opinion might be different. They might see my dogs as scary. They're not, they're really playful. According to tip number 2, we can now use a descriptive word that's a general detail. And here I'm using the word big. But big is very general. If you owned an elephant, then my dogs aren't big. But if you own a little cat, then my dogs are huge. But to me, they're big. So far, we have playful, my opinion, and big, a general detail. Next from tip 2, we have specific details. And both of my dogs are female. This is very specific. Everyone who hears that knows exactly what it means. And we put this really specific detail as close as we can to the thing we're describing. It's the last in our order. So I have 2 playful, big female dogs. Opinion, general detail, specific detail. Playful, big, female dogs. Finally, we have tip number 3. And we're going to split that into 2 parts. The first part is a practical exercise. I want you to look around the room you're in and find 5 things to describe, following the principles you've learned in tip 1 and 2. For example, this is my fantastic opinion, green, general detail, electric, guitar. Fantastic green electric guitar. So find 5 things in your room that you can describe in the same sort of way. And the next part of this tip is simply to relax when you do these descriptive lists. Once you've done a few, like you did in part 1 of this tip, you'll find that your brain simply won't let you get it wrong. It's like magic. Let me prove it to you. Do you remember at the start of this video, I asked Kerry to go out and buy me a pie, but I deliberately put the adjectives in the wrong order. Watch my recording of this and see how difficult it was for me to do, because my brain was screaming at me, this is not the right way to say this. Excuse me. Yes, can you go to that little lovely... Yes, can you go to that Yes.
Come on.
Yes, can you go to that little lovely bakery and get me a... Why can't I do this? And that's how a wonderful, my opinion, intelligent, general detail, English student Specific detail, like you, will be after practicing tips 1, 2 and 3. Now this video is fun, my opinion, educational, general detail, and free, specific detail. So click on it and improve your English. I'll see you next time.